straight up. Where before be anim. Yeah, I'm going to be preaching on mobile. Yes, me my chance. Now, more ring jame. Thank you. Say, I saw for in Arabic. I saw for in no say Muslim boy be womb. Your friends say some Muslim guy be what type say, are you a real pastor? No, being a pastor doesn't make you an angel. Emma our little boni be anim. Emma only oba a bed dano. Oba oye mat adult oba we drew adult one na kasa wa pene na one have sex. It is not called sin. Your friend boni. Why? Why? Na me pe Quran verse na ese oni oba koda yam bo onye oba hu ade na ne da yam boni yam bomo 100 lashes. What's up Muslim guy na what type no sam ra no eye aduma wo zongu anka wo yam bo e ma wo chi nyina tete. Quran le say oba wonye na hu ade wone ne koda ya chi mutu na yam bomo 100 muina o ya chi mu ato abomo 100 na wo ni penedin kura wo kamra we eye aduma wo zongu a ka ya bua mabai na wawu adwaman ba ko 100 wo wa we sen ye kan na religion ti mo ye mo ho sa abofo na anka we ya fa no Abdul den ya fa no Abdul Majid Ahmed Abdul Majid Ahmed ka ya bua mo chi na tete we mo verse no ya ba verse na ba Quran ne se oni obada onye me sa lesson no Quran verses Muslims cannot obey. And no practice mo what the member Quran ne say oba wonya na ho ade baby wenyi du wenyi wo wadwuma now what girlfriend Moshe shaware wonya nya na ho ade na wudi Quran say yambo 100 where years ejuma ewo all our zongo communities anka Mustafa Ahmed Abdullah Yusuf Maimuna Sadia Aisha Khadija kamwechi na papai aga sata Ramadan ya tonga wetu ti wa say oh ko heaven when nya ko me ba je kan no kra kira mo so amompe won verse no won ko fa Quran bra ko fa e ba kan na wetie there are verses in your book you cannot even obey verses in Quran no Muslim can obey. Teuba member type bibia wa kaban now ya bu ba na ka ya bu am wechi na dali design ya bu ama wechi credit be advert e dey ama we aba moton iron rod no cause ya bu am wechi no ye twa na ye show pe e say iron rod but so na enamo a enkremoni enye enkremoni ne ku no enye enkremoni ne ku no o kowia e haram enam na free China ba nkremofo na ku no enam na free China eba nkremofo na ku na no ebi religion e hu o wan kasa won to be ndi so o so ba free thinkers post wasi agade a wo chro Quran 24 Quran chapter 24 verse 2 be like kind
Quran 24.
What so up for someone Abraham Majid tie kan
Quran 24:2.
Quran chapter 24 verse 2.
Was it the fornicatress?
The fornicatress
and the fornicator.
And the fornicator. Obana yene nada because edamambo according to religion a teamwork.
Yeah.
I say homosexual. Gay a teamwork. A do kuntu honi di ojina horo because if no kuntu no agombia it the kuntu and the agombia no and other can wasem into oba no say wanda wa ka bema ne bebutu so into ya muamu a teamwork into people like Quran 24:2 no kan esede.
Was it the fornicatress?
Yeah, we release stress kakrano. Hemba was a with the fornicatress
and the fornicator
flock
each of them
with
100 stripes.
With 100 stripes. A bit traso.
Yeah.
Traso.
Let not pity withhold you in their case.
Let's not pity withhold you in their case. Yes, mumbomo amina kem namutu no mercy. 100. Wow, bomb man the crano. Utiswa uwo case. Your mouth they there till say you they go heaven. Make see you say they go where? Now one cast after Ramadan get the my wabo. Oh, you are fasting 30 days. If you are fasting, you cannot more regress if
What is the punishment and expiation for adultery, zina? Well, as for the punishment, there is a prescribed punishment in this life, and there is a prescribed punishment in the hereafter. Without doubt, fornication and adultery is one of the heinous and major sins in Islam. And Allah Azza wa Jal associated zina with shirk and murder, as in Surah Al-Furqan. However, the punishment differs. So if a person fornicates, this means that he is not married and was not married before. And this is sort of called in Islam as a virgin. So a man or a woman who has not married in their life, they're considered to be virgins. Even if they committed adultery or fornication many times, still, they're still classified as virgin. Because in Islam we have virgin and we have Thieve. A Thieve is a woman, usually a person, who is either married, has been married, whether divorced, widowed, or still married. He's considered to be a Thieve. In Islam, if a virgin commits fornication and that person, he or she, are caught or is caught red-handed, and red-handed means that 4 male Muslim witnesses saw the actual act and they can graphically describe what they had seen, specifically in detail. Or a person confesses. So it's one of the two. We don't refer to DNA. We don't believe in video footage. It has to be 4 eyewitnesses, male and Muslims, or a confession. So if a person was caught red-handed, his punishment would be to be flogged 100 lashes. And this is only for a virgin. But if a person is not a virgin, a person is a Thieve, someone who is married or was previously married, divorced or widowed, then this person, if he or she commits adultery, the punishment, if caught red-handed, again with 4 witnesses or a confession, is to be stoned till death. And this is the only sin in Islam that the punishment is to stone. And nowadays, not a lot, but most Muslim countries refer to execution, their normal ways of execution, through decapitating or beheading that criminal. One would say, isn't stoning barbaric? The answer is no, because the one who mandated it is Allah Azza wa Jal. So Allah is the most merciful, and He knows what's best, not for these 2 who committed this heinous sin, rather for the whole of the community, so that chastity would prevail instead of having men and women run around after one another. And stoning is not a first in Islam. If you open the Old Testament in the Bible, you will find it filled with stoning for many, many sins. So if a bull attacks a man, the bull is stoned to death. If a man fornicates with the daughter of the priest, they're stoned to death. If a man insults the king, he's stoned to death. If a person is not obedient to his parents, the elders take him to the outskirts of the city and they stone him to death. And so on. In Islam, it's the only heinous sin that is punished by stoning, and Allah Azza
now this is CSF, but some Jaw, I am one here. What's on our friend say? Yes, CSF, Kono, homosexuals, any gays, any scammers. Yajatum, Balidu, Memoatias Alidu, Bonsam Janik Nabekum, because Ebiana Okoton and Namono, and Cremoni Nekuno. Ebiao, when your baby one day, to Tonga. I'll see a boy 100. 100 no. Better for heaven. Quran chapter 5 verse 38. Quran 5:38. Now, Malam say Avraham bin Moshe. Now, Google no this year. Yes, Avraham bin Moshe. I am the Google master. Also, the purpose people like you or Google aba. Google no be also people like we if you Google see. Oh, I said Google na koi. And I Google am my vessel. Yeah. Oh boy baby Quran say that.
Ukoya in town say.
Ukoya dia in town say. And I Google here am people like and them say yeah Google masters.
Quran 5:38.
Quran chapter 5 verse 38.
And as for the male thief.
As for the male thief
and the female thief.
And the female thief who was zongo na yeria. Tie. As for the male thief and the female thief,
cut off their hands.
Cut off their hands.
As a recompense for what which they committed.
As a recompense for what they committed. Onto so che kromfoa. Wa ba o bema kanensa. Me pesa man lambia ba be different. Kanensa. Kai
a punishment by way of example from Allah.
A punishment way of example from Allah.
And Allah is almighty.
And Allah is almighty.
And all wise.
And all wise. To us one say be to us.
But whosoever repents after his crime.
Whoever repents after his crime
and that's righteous good deeds.
Quran. Chawunsa. Kotam. Kobabruni. There are verses. Ma'am, obi ya dia fane court on them. Don't make nobody can lie you. People are kind.
What's the one say out for the bebu yasatin?
Unim say I would say for the bebu yasatin.
Na sem na bebu yasatin.
Enti I would say for the bebu yasatin. And a Bible see bebu yasatin. What can invest with? I say I would say for. Mo ye righteous no. Mo no be jeje ye common sense family for. To aso.
And some say mudi ensem ketwa.
And some say mudi ensem ketwa. Kan brofo no ntie. Ese mbrawe ya jumanka. Quran ka say ntwa free race to so ka say ye ntwa free wa onsana ye ntwa ti mbrawe ya juma ka wura be bia nkremofo wa so hu some people without insano ye twa to atwene so nya juma we dem am kra be so pa cha say ya nkuri ko bardia na ya nkuri pa cha to be family we nya juma ya can be frame na what bet me warning say hey you don't know anything in the Quran, my brother, don't quote the Quran again. The Quran
cut off the hand of a thief. Why? Who would be worried about that? Are you really worried that somebody's going to cut off your hand? Because if you are, then what kind of living are you making? What are you doing for a living that scares you? And who are the people going to speak the loudest about this kind of thing? Who? Lawyers and politicians. And we don't have this in Islam, but if they said they would cut off your tongue if you lied, then all the journalists would hate Islam immediately. You follow that? So it's the one who does these things that's going to be more afraid than anybody else. But if you're not a thief, how many of you think it's nice to have a thief in your family? Huh? Have you had any of your relatives steal something from you? Well, in America, it happens all the time. When people use drugs, they lose their connection with anything else. They don't care about anything else anymore. And they need the drug. They need the drug more than anything, and they will do anything to anybody to get the money for the drug. They will do it. And that's known. So how many thieves do you think we have in America? Every day, stealing and stealing and stealing and stealing and stealing to fight this problem they have inside of themselves, needing that drug. And the more drug they take, the more they have to have the next day, till they kill themselves or go insane. That's drugs. So should you chop off their hand? And what about the guy that steals the loaf of bread? He's hungry. People steal food when they're hungry. Actually, Islam wouldn't cut off the hand of either one of them. Because the one has a mental disorder, needs to be treated. The other one is hungry. Islam provides something called the Baitul Mal. Anybody can eat anytime, and they don't have to be a Muslim. They can get all the food, clothing, and even shelter that they need. It's a social system when there is the full Islamic state. But when there's not an Islamic state, it's not available, and that means that full Islamic Sharia cannot be practiced. You must never call for Sharia and the punishment that goes with that unless you've established the environment for it first. Because there are pluses that are not there. You don't provide people with the food, and then you're going to chop off hands for stealing food. That's stupid. And Islam doesn't allow that. So you have to know what the limits are. And that's why I mentioned that in the beginning. You have to understand, too, that an average person like me or Sheikh here, we're not muftis. We're not going to make that kind of call. It's a judge, a qadi in Islam, who has memorized the whole Quran, memorized all the hadith. He's somebody that's there at Fajr every morning to pray his prayers. He's somebody who cares about the community. And he's going to be looking at the one who employed the man who stole the food to find out, how come this man's stealing food? I'm going to look at the employer. How come this man didn't get paid? If anybody else from your employ, people that you hire, is hungry, you're not paying, and they're working, I need to talk to you, because you're the one going to be in trouble, not them. You have to understand that Islam comes from some very beautiful logic, but some people don't understand how to implement it. And so that's what we see again and again and again. We don't see the mercy, and we don't see the compassion, and we don't see the authority, the proper authority being represented when people go out here and start beating each other.